Glad you're with us, folks. It's time now to take a look at the telecom sector. Keith Snyder's with us, equity analyst at CFRA Research, and Rebecca Walser, President, Walser Wealth Management. Thank you both very, very much for being with us. Obviously, telecoms have all we need going forward, particularly with 5G and more. So, Rebecca, I'll start with you. When you look at the performance last year, do you expect similar action this year, and where do you see some strength?
Yeah, right now we pretty much have the telecoms as neutral, not really a buy or a sell. So if you already are holding them, you should probably remain holding them. But I got to be honest, there are some that are really indicating bearish. For example, T-Mobile, we're looking at as a real bearish outlook, unfortunately. But, on the plus side, we do have one that we're positive about, which is Vodafone, which is not as large, obviously, as AT&T and Verizon and T-Mobile. But, Nicole, this 5G is got some questions behind it. You saw the administration asking to delay the 5G implementation by a couple of weeks, and specifically the C-band frequency we're talking about, because they are concerned that it could potentially interfere with some airline frequency transmissions and those kinds of things. So you see Verizon and AT&T agreeing to a couple of week delay as of last week, according to Pete Buttigieg. And so, the question is the safety and the frequency to individuals. And I think that there are some concerns about that, and we'll see how that impacts the final rollout and how it actually goes in this next month.
Yeah, I was sort of surprised that they did this 2-week pause. I mean, I only because I was thinking to myself, didn't they know that there could be interference? I don't know. But I mean, obviously they're doing it for the safety, and I'm always for safety first. So as you take a look, Keith, as the group, do you have certain names that you like more than others, and why, based on the themes that you're seeing for 2022?
Sure. I'm going to echo that T-Mobile is our strongest pick right now, and we have a strong buy opinion on them. Just going forward, they continue to capture market share. They really have the best 5G coverage right now, just given the deep spectrum portfolio they got from Sprint. And so we really like them and their prospects going forward. AT&T and Verizon, we actually have sell opinions on. They're struggling on the wireless front, obviously, with T-Mobile. And they had to spend so heavily in the C-band auction. I mean, those two companies combined spent over $60 billion to acquire C-band spectrum. And now they're facing all sorts of issues. Some might say that the FAA should have been on this a lot earlier. The airline industry in general, they knew they had an aging altimeter system that uses frequency that's somewhat close to C-band. And so I think they're kind of jumping on the public safety train and kind of, looking for a way to maybe just split the costs. I don't think the wireless industry is going to budge very much on this issue, just given the warning that the aviation industry had before the C-band auction. And so, going back to AT&T and Verizon, really, they struggled with their media businesses. I mean, Verizon sold theirs and AT&T is spinning it off. I think they kind of bit off more than they can chew. And so that coupled with just their debt levels, I just think that their balance sheet is fairly weak. And so, the amount they're going to have to spend going forward to the 5G deployments, I think is really going to stress the companies.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting, too, because T-Mobile the whole telecom group came under some pressure in late 2021. And T-Mobile, which is supposed to be the darling with the most, as you're saying here, Keith, that they will have the most 5G spots. It's interesting that you have cells on the other ones. Rebecca, your thoughts on some of the cell ratings that CFRA at this point has that Keith's talking about. And you also have another name that's a little off the beaten path that you're focusing on as well. Rebecca?
Yeah, like I mentioned, Nicole, we do like Vodafone. We think that's a buy right now. AT&T, I could not agree with him more. AT&T and Verizon I think that they tried to be media conglomerates, and they really did expand beyond their expertise base. And that's trailing and dragging them down. And the spinoffs of the media that you're seeing and the attempted spinoffs are going to continue because they really need to focus on their core business. And their core business is going to do well if they focus in that core business. business. You know, we've seen all of these groups, the AT&Ts, the Time Warners, we've seen this massive expansion into multimedia corporations, and then we see the divestitures. And so it doesn't really work out so well. And, you know, you're talking about legacy cash flow and the financial legacy of financing costs of some of these acquisitions, dragging down the portfolio and dragging down their financials. And that's really where you see the laggard of, even amongst the 5G rollout that we would normally expect to boost and, you know, the financials and give us a trajectory of positive growth on a stock price. It's not there because we have all of these legacy costs that have to be dealt with and really divested of on the balance sheet. So it's going to be, I think, a difficult year for telecom in general, just because of the rollout of all of these issues that are lagging. And then, you know, you've got such an outlier with T-Mobile with their Sprint acquisition. I completely agree.
Yeah. And Keith, I know you watch subscriber growth very carefully too. I mean, we talk about telecom and we focus on 5G, but it's not just that. There's so much more to this wireless group. Keith, what is your big picture on this?
I mean, I'd say, you know, obviously all the talk is 5G. And really, customers right now aren't that excited about 5G. I mean, I think most people just kind of think of it as an add-on when they buy a new phone. I don't think many people have gone out specifically looking for 5G devices, just because really there's no kind of killer app for 5G right now. Sure, you get a really fast network, but at the end of the day, you know, if you're scrolling through Facebook, if the page loads in 1.5 seconds as opposed to 2 seconds, that's really going to make a big difference. And so, you know, these companies are spending billions and billions deploying these networks, but there's really no good way to monetize them yet. And, you know, this year, I think the focus is going to be on the network core, which will unlock a lot of really cool technologies. You know, very low latency communications, you know, massive IoT connections. And so, you know, these things were kind of what 5G was sold on. But I don't think they know how they're going to make money yet beyond just providing cell service. And, you know, that's really the question. At the end of the day, these networks are going to cost hundreds of billions of dollars for each of these companies. And they need a return on investment. And right now, you know, our question is, how do they get that return?
Yeah. Let's leave it right there. Thank you both so very, very much. Nice to see you both, Rebecca Walser and also Keith Snyder of CFRA and Rebecca Walser of Walser Wealth Management. I appreciate it. I will say, just like you, Goldman Sachs had a winner in T-Mobile also. They had it as a wireless pick. And I know, Rebecca, you're waiting on the Starlink IPO. We didn't get that, but we'll talk about it next time. Thank you both very much. Good to see you.